For a while, I really felt strongly that the Lord wanted me to do an album, and immediately. I never thought I'd ever do an album, and I always avoided doing big projects because I didn't think I would be able to handle everything that comes with it. When I first decided to go into ministry, I thought I would just go to places, go to the streets, go into the world to minister. I never thought it would actually involve me releasing projects. But I felt so strongly that some of the songs that I have written needs to be released and so I began to compile these songs and the album came together.
Well, I've had the privilege of knowing Abigail as a dedicated and a committed choir leader from the humble beginnings, and over the years I think it's very exciting and reassuring to see her blossom into a talented singer, and her emergence on the gospel scene is really very exciting and refreshing.
The most challenging thing about this album was coming up with the title. It took a really long time for me to come up with an overall name for the album. And the reason is because the album covers a variety of subjects in terms of there's something on the album for the praisers, the worshippers, there's something on the album for people who want to consecrate their lives, there's something on the album for people who need reassurance about the unfailing love of Christ, there's something on the album for the unbelievers who don't know about Jesus Christ. So that made it really challenging for me to come up with a title that sums up the various aspects of the album. But then as I was speaking to one of my pastors, Pastor TJ, about how I've experienced many sides of Jesus in the past year, and in that conversation, the word incomprehensible came up, and we paused for a minute and I thought, that's exactly it. God is truly incomprehensible. When I think I've experienced the best that I could experience, He shows me a different side to Himself, and I believe that is the title that really sums up the motive behind the whole project.
When we think about God, there's so many words that we can use to describe Him, but you get to a point where you actually begin to run out of words. And I think for me, incomprehensible is the perfect word. And I think it's in Ephesians chapter 3, where Paul begins to talk about the unsearchable riches of Christ. And in one sense, you're thinking it's unsearchable, so how do you search it, or how do you research about the one that is unsearchable? But then in verse 10, he goes on to talk about how God wants to make known His manifold wisdom through the church. And I just love the concept of taking such a bold step to try and communicate about the one that's incomprehensible, but still give it a go. And that's what I love about it.
Wherever you go.